that the Prophet ﷺ used to do in Ramadan is eating suhoor. First, linguistically speaking, there's a difference between suhoor and sahur. Suhoor is the act of eating, while sahur is the food that is being eaten. Similarly, we say wudu and wadu. Wudu is the act of making wudu, and wadu is the water that is used to make wudu. So that's just from a linguistic point of view. But as for today's hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Tasahharu fa inna fi sahuri baraka." Eat suhoor as there is blessing in this meal. It's a short hadith, but it is filled with meaning. And the barakah, or the blessing that the Prophet ﷺ talks about in this hadith, is both blessings in the dunya and in the akhirah. As for the dunya, you prepare your body for a long day of fasting, prepare to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts your fast from you. But as for the akhirah, you are rewarded because you are following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And suhoor is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave exclusively to the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And suhoor is the difference between our fasting and the fasting of the people of the book. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, فَصْلُ مَا بَيْنَ صِيَامِنَا وَصِيَامِ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ أَكْلَةُ السَّحَرِ. The difference between our fasting and the fasting of the people of the book, the Jews and the Christians, is that we have the blessed meal of suhoor. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made suhoor an obligation on all of the past prophets and all the past civilizations. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. All those who believe, fasting has been written upon you, just like it was written upon those that were before you. But for us, the Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the blessed meal of suhoor with all of its blessings and all of its barakah and all of its reward. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says in another hadith, السحور أكلة بركة فلا تدعوه ولو أن يجرع أحدكم جرعة من ماء فإن الله وملائكته يصلون على المتسحرين. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, suhoor is a blessed meal, so don't leave it, even if it's taking a small sip of water. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His angels continuously send blessings upon those that are observing the suhoor. And what we learn from this is many of us, we eat suhoor out of habit, without realizing the true meaning or the true idea behind it. Suhoor is not like what most people claim, that will give you that physical boost or make fasting easier during the day. While it's true that when you eat suhoor, it might help you a little bit with your fast during the day. But the idea or the main point behind suhoor is to power you up spiritually, so that you find yourself more active during the day in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you find yourself you find that there is increased barakah in things like your time and your health and your wealth and your worship. You find that you are more active in reading the Quran and more active in praying and more active in visiting the masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like Sheikh Adnan, he always says, and I learned this from him, suhoor is never meant to be an entire feast like many people do. The idea of suhoor is to obtain the barakah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in this time and has put in this meal. The time of suhoor, which is the last third of the night, is a blessed time throughout the entire year, but especially in Ramadan, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His angels send blessings upon those that are observing the suhoor. And if this is the reward or if this is the benefit of just observing the suhoor, a person has not even started fasting, then imagine the reward of fasting a day in Ramadan. And inshallah, next week we'll talk about the benefits of the day of Ramadan and the benefits of dua while you are fasting. I hope that was a benefit, inshallah. يروي الإمام البخاري والإمام مسلم كل في صحيحه عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: تسحروا فإن في السحور بركة. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, the fiqh halaqa with Sheikh